Have you ever wondered what terrifies a narcissist the most when you are truly gone? At first, they might act strong, even pretend they are happier without you. But behind the performance is a fear so deep, it shakes the very foundation of their identity. The truth is, narcissists fear abandonment more than anything, and losing you is their ultimate nightmare. Psychologists explain that narcissists survive by feeding off attention, admiration, and control. This constant need is called narcissistic supply. When you're around, even if they abuse you, you're still giving them supply through your reactions, emotions, and presence. But when you are truly gone, that supply vanishes, leaving them starved and desperate. At first, they may deny it. They might post pictures online, brag about new relationships, or pretend to thrive. But this is all smoke and mirrors. Deep down, they are terrified that you have seen through them. What they fear most is not just your absence. It's the realization that their mask no longer works on you. The fear of irrelevance haunts them. Narcissists need to feel important. But when you move on, they are forced to face the truth. They were never as powerful as they believed. Psychologists emphasize this fear of being forgotten eats at them. Because without an audience, they have no identity. You leaving confirms their greatest insecurity. Another fear is losing control. Narcissists thrive on controlling your emotions, decisions, and even your future. When you're gone, they can no longer dictate your life. Psychologists describe this loss of control as unbearable for them. It's like watching their empire burn while being powerless to stop it. The fear of losing that control breaks them. They also fear replacement. Not by someone else in your life, but by the realization that you no longer need them. Narcissists want to believe you will always return, always crave their approval. When you show strength and independence, it terrifies them. Your freedom exposes their weakness, and that truth is something they cannot bear. The fear of exposure is another hidden torment. When you leave, you take with you the power to reveal their lies. Narcissists know you've seen behind the mask, and that knowledge frightens them. Psychologists call this narcissistic mortification, a deep shame that comes when their perfect image is threatened. You are the mirror they cannot shatter. Narcissists also fear silence. When you're gone and you don't respond, there's no reaction for them to feed on. Silence is louder than words to a narcissist because it reminds them they no longer matter to you. Psychologists note that this silence forces them to face the emptiness inside, something they've avoided their entire life. The fear of aging and time becomes stronger once you're gone. While you move forward, heal, and rebuild, they remain stuck in the same cycles. Psychologists explain this creates envy and terror. They see you thriving while they deteriorate. Time becomes their enemy, reminding them that their control has an expiration date they cannot outrun. Most of all, narcissists fear losing the story they wrote about you. They want to believe they will always be the central figure in your life. When you leave for good, that narrative is shattered. Your absence proves they were not the hero, not the savior, but the villain. That truth is their deepest and most terrifying fear. When you disappear completely, narcissists fear the permanence. In their mind, you were supposed to orbit them forever. No matter how badly they treated you, they believed you would always answer their calls, respond to their messages, or return when they needed attention. But when you vanish for good, their illusion of endless control collapses. That permanence terrifies them more than anything. They also fear being replaced in your heart by peace, not by another person, but by your happiness. Narcissists cannot stand the idea that you can smile, laugh, and live freely without them. Psychologists note this fear is rooted in envy. Seeing you happy without them is proof they never mattered as much as they believed, and it destroys them. Another fear that eats at them is your growth. Narcissists want you to remain small, doubting yourself, and seeking their approval. But when you're gone, you begin to flourish. You heal, rebuild, and shine brighter. That progress terrifies them, because it shows you never needed them. Your independence exposes how powerless they truly were. They fear the ripple effect of your strength. When you tell your story, others may finally see their true nature. Psychologists call this exposure devastating. because their reputation matters more than anything. The thought of being seen as manipulative or cruel keeps them awake at night. Your voice becomes the weapon they can't silence. Narcissists fear being remembered for what they really were. They work so hard to build a legacy of admiration, but when you're gone, that legacy is threatened. People begin to connect the dots, to see the lies, to hear the truth from those who escaped. The fear of their carefully crafted image crumbling is unbearable. The loss of admiration is a wound they cannot heal. Narcissists thrive on being admired, even worshipped. But when you walk away and never look back, admiration turns to absence. That absence feels like a death sentence. Psychologists describe this as narcissistic injury at its deepest, the wound of no longer being adored or desired. They fear accountability. When you leave, they can no longer twist the narrative or shift blame onto you. Your absence removes their shield. Suddenly, they must face questions from others or from themselves. But accountability is poison to them because it demands humility. Their greatest fear is being forced to admit their own faults. Financial or practical fears often surface as well. Many narcissists rely on others for stability, whether emotional, financial, or social. When you're gone, they lose that support. Psychologists highlight this fear as survival-based. The reality of having to stand on their own terrifies them, because dependency was always hidden behind arrogance. They also fear the silence of their own mind. Without you, there is no distraction, no drama, no game to play. Narcissists hate being alone with themselves because it reveals the truth they always avoided. They are empty. Psychologists explain this emptiness as the core of their disorder. Facing it feels like drowning in nothingness. Ultimately, what narcissists fear most is the finality of your freedom. Your absence proves their control is gone forever. Psychologists stress this realization is the ultimate collapse. No matter how much they rage, pretend, or seek replacements, they know deep inside that you are free, and nothing terrifies them more than knowing they lost you completely. When you step into your healing, narcissists fear being forgotten. They crave to live rent-free in your mind forever. But when your thoughts stop circling around them, when you no longer check their social media or replay the pain, they lose the place they thought was permanent. Being forgotten is worse than hate. It erases them. They fear comparisons too. When you find healthier relationships or friendships, it highlights what they never gave you. Psychologists say this comparison is brutal for them because it proves they failed at something simple: kindness. Watching you thrive with others is a mirror they can't escape, reminding them they were never enough. Narcissists fear karma, though they'll never admit it. Deep down, they know their actions create consequences. When you leave and begin to heal, they sense the balance shifting. Every rumor, every manipulation, every betrayal becomes a shadow that follows them. They live with the quiet terror that someday it will all come back to them. They also fear losing the fantasy of control. Even if they discard you, they secretly believe they could always reel you back in. But when you walk away and never return, that fantasy dies. Psychologists explain this reality shatters their false sense of power. The fear that they've lost you permanently gnaws at them endlessly. The fear of replacement cuts both ways. While they dread you finding peace, they also fear you replacing them in your heart with love. Real, healthy love is something they cannot provide. Seeing you cared for by someone who respects you is like a wound they cannot heal. It reminds them they were never truly loved. Narcissists also fear exposure through your healing. When you tell your story with clarity and strength, their manipulations become obvious. Psychologists highlight this as devastating for them because they thrive on secrecy. Your healing threatens to reveal the lies they fought so hard to protect, making their image unravel in public. The fear of emptiness grows louder in solitude. Without you, there are no arguments to win, no emotions to manipulate, no strings to pull. Psychologists call this emotional starvation. Their identity was tied to controlling you, and without that role, they feel meaningless. This emptiness terrifies them more than any enemy could. They fear time itself. Time shows the truth. You heal while they repeat the same cycles. With every year, the contrast grows clearer. Psychologists explain this fear as existential. They realize life is passing them by while they remain stuck. The clock becomes their tormentor, ticking away every chance they lost. Another hidden fear is irrelevance in their social world. Without you, they lose stories to tell, dramas to perform, and excuses to play victim. Their audience becomes smaller, and people grow disinterested. Narcissists fear this silence because it strips them of importance. They crave spotlight, but without you, the stage goes dark. Finally, they fear the truth you discovered, that you can live, breathe, laugh, and succeed without them. Psychologists remind us this truth is unbearable for narcissists because it contradicts their belief that they were essential. Your freedom is their downfall, and knowing you are truly gone fills them with a fear they cannot silence. The narcissist's fear becomes clearest at night. When the world is quiet and no distractions remain, they lie awake haunted by your absence. Psychologists explain this is when intrusive thoughts take over. Memories of control lost, power gone, and the image of you walking away. Their fear intensifies in silence, where they cannot escape themselves. They fear seeing you succeed. Every achievement you reach, without them, feels like proof of their failure. Psychologists highlight that narcissists view success competitively, not cooperatively. Your growth is not just your victory, it is their defeat. Each milestone you achieve shines a light on their inability to ever truly support or uplift you. Narcissists fear being replaced in your story. They want to be the main character forever, the center of your attention. But when you write a new chapter filled with healing, love, and strength, they lose their role. Psychologists describe this as identity collapse. Without being central in your narrative, they feel irrelevant, a forgotten page. The fear of exposure grows stronger when you are free. They worry you will tell others the truth. Psychologists explain that narcissists guard their image like a fortress. But your freedom gives you power. The idea that their lies could be revealed terrifies them. Even if you never speak, your healing itself exposes their deception. They fear no longer being able to control your emotions. Before, a single word, look, or silence from them could dictate your mood. But when you are gone, that control vanishes. Psychologists emphasize that losing this emotional leverage devastates narcissists. They fear a world where their influence over you is reduced to nothing. The narcissist also fears watching you find joy in ordinary things. A smile, a peaceful night, a simple laugh with friends. These are unbearable to them when they know they are no longer part of your life. Psychologists note that such moments remind them of their failure to destroy your spirit, which deepens their collapse. They fear growing old alone. Many narcissists imagine they will always be admired, always surrounded, but your absence plants a seed of dread. Psychologists warn that this vision of a lonely future haunts them, because deep down, they know it may be true. The thought of being abandoned in age fills them with panic. The fear of accountability lingers. Even after you're gone, they worry others will begin questioning them. Without you to take the blame, they are exposed. Psychologists say narcissists avoid responsibility at all costs. But your absence makes their behavior stand out. Accountability becomes a shadow they cannot run from forever. They fear losing the narrative. Narcissists often spin stories to make themselves the hero or the victim. But when you move on, you rewrite the ending. Psychologists call this narrative collapse. Your ability to create a new story terrifies them, because it erases the lies they once told about who you were together. Ultimately, their greatest fear is that you no longer think about them at all. Hate, anger, even sadness kept them alive in your world. But true indifference is death to a narcissist. Psychologists affirm that when you feel nothing, they lose everything, and that is the nightmare they cannot endure, your silence and peace. When you are gone for good, the narcissist fears that their game has finally ended. For years they thrived on drama, manipulation, and endless cycles of control. But your absence breaks the cycle completely. Psychologists explain this is the one thing they cannot undo. The fear of a game that will never restart torments them daily. They fear the permanence of your healing. Once you build new habits, new confidence, and new joy, they know there is no way back. Psychologists emphasize that narcissists sense when your healing is genuine, and it terrifies them. They realize they lost the version of you they could exploit, and that truth is final. Narcissists also fear losing their ability to rewrite the past. While you were under their control, they could twist memories, gaslight, and distort truth. But once you're gone, those tools no longer work. Psychologists describe this loss as devastating, because rewriting history kept their power alive. Without you, the truth stands firm. They fear the ripple of your example. When you walk away, others may feel empowered to do the same. Psychologists note this collective exposure terrifies narcissists, because it multiplies their loss of control. One survivor speaking truth is powerful. Many survivors breaking free is catastrophic. They live in fear of this chain reaction. The narcissist's fear of being ordinary also grows. Without you to reflect their false greatness, they see themselves as they truly are, just another person, flawed and human. Psychologists explain narcissists cannot bear ordinariness. They crave uniqueness, superiority, specialness. Your absence strips away the illusion and leaves them facing mediocrity. They fear your story will outlive theirs. Psychologists affirm that survivors who share their journey often create legacies of hope and healing. For narcissists, this is unbearable. The idea that your strength could inspire while their name fades into bitterness terrifies them. They crave immortality through power, but you rewrite the ending. As years pass, the fear only deepens. Narcissists realize that while you build, they remain stuck. While you grow, they wither. Psychologists say this contrast is torture to them, because it highlights the very thing they cannot change. Time exposes everything. Your progress is their reminder of all they lost and will never regain. Their deepest fear is that you will find love and peace they could never give. Narcissists thrive on keeping you broken, so your joy without them is unbearable. Psychologists stress that seeing you cared for and safe confirms their failure. It proves they were never the answer, only the obstacle. That truth devastates them. Ultimately, narcissists fear themselves. Without supply, without lies, without you, they are left with only their emptiness. Psychologists describe this self-confrontation as their greatest torment. For the first time, they must face the hollow core they've spent a lifetime avoiding. And in that mirror, they find the fear that never leaves. In conclusion, what narcissists fear when you're truly gone is not just your absence, it's everything it represents. Freedom, peace, healing, and truth. They fear irrelevance, exposure, and the silence that proves their control is over. But for you, this is not fear, it is liberation. Their nightmare is your new beginning, and that is the ultimate victory. When you finally walk away, the narcissist's greatest fears come true. Their power collapses, their mask shatters, and you step into freedom. If this video gave you clarity, leave a comment and share your story. You never know who you might inspire. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more insights that bring light to the darkness of narcissistic abuse. Together we expose the truth and reclaim our peace.